viewers, and Miss Morgan. Welcome to the G&A show. On this episode, Duke It Out, Revolution or Romance, we'll be speaking about our guest, Gab Anema's exploration into John Milne's work of Paradise Lost. So Gab Anema, I myself have never read this book. But you, I've heard, indulge yourself in it.
Yes, I do.
May I please have a brief overview of what has occurred so far?
Well, Adam and Eve eat from the forbidden tree, then Satan gets blamed for the mishap. The angels fall into the burning lake and then into Satan's hands as he tells them to rise. He then takes them over and builds himself a group similar to a modern-day army. In the end, pandemonium is reached.
Sounds like a very interesting book. Much more concise in the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. But it's okay. I'll get over it. So, I know you've been researching into Frankenstein as well. Is there any connections or parallels, juxtapositions you can make between the two of them?
Yeah, there's actually a lot.
Fantastic. I love to hear every single one of them. Every one.
Okay, so as I told you before the whole story, Satan can easily compare to Victor because they both try to go against God and Victor tries to create life himself. Another one is nature plays a significant role in each as they both use it as either a getaway or banishment.
You're flying through these, girl. You're flying.
And when Victor contemplates his life, he falls into the lake, and the thought of Elizabeth saves him. And in the book that I read, the angels fall into the burning lake, and Satan saves them, giving them the idea of a new life.
Makes sense. And
then, as we talked today in class about Sublime, Victor tries to achieve this or overcome this, and to get closer to heaven. And as portrayed in Paradise Lost, they distinguish the line between heaven and hell.
Beautiful. Will that be all for this evening?
Yes, it would.
Well, it's been great having you on the show. I'm glad that we got to explore the connections in between Frankenstein and the Paradise Lost.
Me too.
Me too. All right, our next interviewer is about to come in, along with our new guest. So, see you guys after this short break. This production is brought to you by Old Spice. Old Spice. Anything is possible when your man doesn't smell like a girl no more.
As he's been studying Samuel Taylor Coleridge's
The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. She has not read it before, so I'll be taking over from here, most likely. Do you have any questions about the book, ma'am?
Yeah, why don't you explain it for the viewers?
Okay, well, it starts off with these three guests. They come up walking to this wedding party. We know it's a wedding party because the narrator refers to them as the wedding guests. So they come up to a wedding party, and this mariner, they get stopped by this mariner. And he wants to tell us some story, and all they want to do is go to the wedding. Microphone isn't working. All they want to do is go to this wedding party, and this mariner keeps talking to them. But it's something about the eyes in the mariner that just intrigue him. And all the wedding guest wants to do is listen to his story, even though he's pounding his chest to try and get to this wedding party. So, the mariner's story begins, and he sails south to avoid a storm. But after killing an albatross that relieves the fog, wind stops, and he's no longer moving. Heat gets the better of the sailors, and they're all starving. And subconsciously, the mariner blesses the snake in the water and falls asleep to wake up to a storm, and all his crewmen are God does not believe he's received enough punishment and eventually sinks his ship. The wedding guest actually never goes to the wedding party and is sent home a sadder but wiser man.
Oh my god, that sounds so interesting.
Really?
Yes.
You should read it next.
Maybe. Okay, so I know we've both been studying Frankenstein in a feeling, and was wondering if you could make any connections on it.
You know, it's a common connection people make usually between the Rime of the Ancient Mariner and Frankenstein, you know?
Yeah.
It's common. Well, both of the works are very, very keen on setting. So the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, it starts off with the mariner going down south. He gets stuck in a bunch of ice. It's quoted, there's ice all around. So then, well, I already went over the story, as you can tell. So they come back up, and the setting changes from the icy all around to the extreme heat, and everyone starts dying of thirst. So setting is very, very special in that nature. We move over to Frankenstein. Throughout the chapters we have just been recently exploring, the Victor goes over to the mountains and is trying to find himself. He's trying to use the mountains to get his depression out of him. Setting, very important to him as well. Even though it really doesn't work out that well, he's over in the mountains, it's not working out too well. But setting, from there till we move all the way back to the lake, where he's in the lake and he wants to drown himself. So it juxtaposes the settings between the lake and there, in the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, juxtaposed from when it was all nice and calm up by his hometown. So as he ventures far away, things get a little chaotic, you know?
Yeah, okay.
That's good, that's good.
Okay. Any other ones?
I got a couple more,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Alright.
So both the conflicts in Frankenstein and the Rime of the Ancient Mariner both come from the narrator himself, if you consider Victor the narrator of Frankenstein. So, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the mariner who's telling the story, he causes the biggest conflict, because when the albatross was above him, he shot him. Boom! Created this very, very negative atmosphere, spirits came, everything went downhill from there. Everything. In Frankenstein, obviously, Victor was the creator of the monster. And the biggest conflict besides Victor and himself, is the monster causing other problems. So, both of these, they parallel each other with the creator creating the biggest problems for himself. It's kind of ironic.
See that? Any others? Or is
Oh
that...
my God. I got a whole list here.
Oh, okay.
I got a whole list to hand in tomorrow.
Well, that's... it's up to you. You can keep going if you want.
Alright. And as you know, as I just described, they're both caused by the creators, both off the theme of ignorance. So,
Okay.
Mariner very, very the Mariner's inhospitality was truly what drove all of this negative actions to follow, you know? All the negative actions follow after.
Okay.
So his ignorance that, even though he knew that the albatross was for God, he believed that killing it would remove the fog and all things would be great. But unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. He was very ignorant to what would happen after he created it. Same with Frankenstein. He had all these great ideas to bring back cure, disease, prevent death, creates the monster. He didn't know it was a monster at the point, trying to make it perfect, but it didn't work out too well. He's ignorant to what would happen after he created the monster. So unfortunately, the monster went out, and it was a slippery slope from there. More problems. Problemos.
Is that all?
No, of course it's not.
Oh,
I got this whole
thinking.
chart. Oh my goodness. So, they're both obviously, as I've been describing, went through many struggles. Many struggles. Muy struggles.
Muy problemos.
So, the struggles both led them to depression, which leads to parallels in the characters of each novel. So, like, in Frankenstein, as everything was occurring, the plot was going on, Victor got very depressed, and do you remember him in the lake saying he wanted to jump in? But, and I quote, "The thought of Elizabeth was the only thing that stopped me." Unfortunately, in the Mariner, everyone was dying around him, from the thirst, as described earlier. But Mariner couldn't die. He was the only one, because God knew he wanted to make him suffer for what he did to that poor bird. He was supposed to guide them, but he was ignorant. So, depression got to him, but he couldn't. Both resisted suicide, whether it was voluntary or involuntary. So that's just another parallel between the two of them.
Okay. Do you want to go on?
No, I think that concludes the analysis for now.
Okay.
I got a hockey game I gotta go to, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to scoot out of here
I
really
think we're
quickly.
already late. So.
I think we are late also.
Okay.
But later. No, not later. This already occurred. This concludes the G&A show, even though I am the guest and I shouldn't be concluding it. So I'll let the interviewer conclude the rest.
You already concluded it. So
Thank you for tuning in. It's been a great time interviewing with you.
I've been handing this in tomorrow.
I promised we started the day before, but it's all good.
Yeah, this actually was yesterday. That's fine.
So, hope you have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whatever time you're viewing this. And stay literary.